They dug her grave, but she planted a garden of revenge instead. When Master Sergeant Marcus Kane and his corrupt military contracting network left Navy intelligence officer Ellie Ross for dead in the Afghan mountains, after discovering her investigation into their multi-million-dollar arms trafficking operation, they believed that burying her in an unmarked grave would silence her permanently. What they didn't anticipate was that her survival training and methodical intelligence background would enable her to orchestrate a campaign of systematic destruction that would eliminate every member of their organization while exposing corruption that reached the highest levels of military command. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The investigation had begun 18 months earlier, when Lieutenant Commander Ellie Ross, assigned to Naval Criminal Investigative Service operations in Kabul, noticed discrepancies in weapons inventory reports and ammunition supply records that suggested systematic theft of military equipment intended for Afghan National Army units. Her analytical background and attention to detail had identified patterns that indicated organized criminal activity rather than random pilferage or accounting errors. The initial evidence was subtle but consistent. Serial numbers that didn't match shipping manifests, ammunition counts that varied between delivery and distribution reports, and weapon systems that disappeared from inventory before reaching their intended recipients. Most investigators would have attributed these discrepancies to the chaotic conditions of war zone logistics. But Ellie's methodical approach had revealed systematic patterns that suggested coordinated theft operations. Her preliminary investigation had identified Master Sergeant Marcus Kane as a person of interest due to his position as Supply Coordination Supervisor and his access to shipping schedules, inventory systems, and transportation arrangements that would be necessary for large-scale weapons theft. Kane's 15-year military career and previous deployment experience had provided him with extensive knowledge of logistics vulnerabilities and black market networks. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. The trafficking operation had been sophisticated beyond typical military crime, involving coordination between American military personnel, Afghan government officials, and international arms dealers who were purchasing stolen weapons for resale to insurgent groups throughout the region. The profits were enormous, with individual weapon systems selling for 10 times their military procurement cost on black markets. Kane's network included Staff Sergeant David Morrison, who managed transportation and shipping logistics that enabled stolen weapons to be diverted from official supply chains without detection by routine auditing procedures. His role was crucial for timing theft operations to coincide with normal equipment movement that would mask missing inventory until audits could be manipulated to hide discrepancies. Sergeant First Class Tony Rodriguez served as the network's financial coordinator, managing cash flow and money laundering operations through Swiss bank accounts and cryptocurrency exchanges that made transaction tracking extremely difficult for investigators. His technical expertise in financial systems had created payment structures that appeared legitimate while facilitating massive transfers of illegal proceeds. Captain Jennifer Walsh, assigned to procurement oversight, provided advance information about shipment schedules and inventory procedures that enabled the network to target high-value weapon systems while avoiding detection through routine security measures. Her officer rank and administrative position gave her access to classified information that was crucial for timing theft operations. Ellie's investigation had progressed carefully over months of document analysis, financial record examination, and surveillance operations that gradually built a comprehensive picture of the trafficking network's structure and methods. Her intelligence training had taught her to develop cases systematically while avoiding premature action that might alert suspects to ongoing investigation. The breakthrough had come when electronic surveillance of Kane's communications revealed conversations with Ahmad Nazir, a Taliban commander who was purchasing American weapons for use against coalition forces. The recorded discussions included specific details about planned attacks using American equipment, making the investigation a matter of immediate national security rather than routine criminal activity. Ellie's evidence package had been nearly complete when Kane's network became aware of her investigation through sources within the military command structure that had been providing protection for their operations. Her methodical approach had been both strength and weakness, as thorough documentation created comprehensive evidence, while extended timeline provided opportunities for discovery. The decision to eliminate Ellie rather than simply discrediting her investigation reflected the network's understanding that her evidence could destroy not only their criminal enterprise, but also the careers and freedom of senior military officials who had been providing protection in exchange for financial compensation. The stakes were high enough to justify murder rather than conventional cover-up methods. Kane's plan for her elimination had been carefully coordinated to appear like battlefield casualty rather than targeted assassination, using a routine convoy mission to remote forward operating base Chapman as cover for an ambush that would be attributed to Taliban forces. The location had been selected for its isolation and known insurgent activity that would provide plausible explanation for her death. The convoy departure had been scheduled during a period of increased enemy activity that would make ambush scenarios credible to investigators, while the route had been deliberately leaked to Taliban contacts who were promised payment for conducting attacks against specific vehicles. Kane's network had essentially hired enemy forces to eliminate their own investigator. Ellie's survival instincts had been triggered by subtle behavioral changes in her security detail during the convoy preparation, including equipment modifications and route selections that violated standard security protocols. Her intelligence training had taught her to recognize operational security breaches and potential threats from any source, including military colleagues. The ambush had occurred exactly as Kane had planned, with Taliban fighters attacking the convoy at a predetermined location while focusing fire on the vehicle containing Ellie and her security escort. The attack had been designed to ensure her death while creating casualties that would support the appearance of routine enemy action rather than targeted elimination. But Kane's network had underestimated both Ellie's survival capabilities and her preparation for exactly this type of betrayal from within military command structures that she had been investigating for corruption and criminal activity involving national security violations.
The convoy ambush at Checkpoint Delta 7 unfolded with military precision that immediately confirmed Ellie's suspicions about insider coordination as Taliban fighters positioned themselves along the route with advanced knowledge of vehicle positions, timing, and security arrangements that could only have been provided by members of Kane's corrupt network who had access to classified operational information. The initial rocket-propelled grenade strike targeted the lead vehicle with accuracy that eliminated the convoy's heavy weapons capability, while the coordinated small arms fire focused on communications equipment and personnel who might coordinate defensive responses or call for air support. The attack pattern demonstrated tactical sophistication that exceeded typical Taliban operational capabilities. Lieutenant Commander Ellie Ross had positioned herself in the second vehicle specifically because her intelligence analysis of previous ambush patterns indicated that enemy forces typically concentrated initial fire on lead and trail vehicles while allowing middle vehicles to be captured for intelligence value. Her positioning was tactical preparation based on threat assessment rather than routine convoy procedures. When the ambush began, Ellie's immediate priority was preserving the evidence files and encrypted communications equipment that contained her complete investigation into Kane's weapons trafficking network. The documentation represented months of careful intelligence work that would be crucial for prosecuting not only the immediate criminals, but also the senior officials who had provided protection for their operations. The Taliban attack had been coordinated with Kane's security personnel who were supposed to ensure Ellie's death during the confusion of combat, but her defensive training and tactical awareness had enabled her to identify and neutralize immediate threats while maintaining control of crucial evidence that the network was determined to destroy along with her. Staff Sergeant Jake Morrison, assigned as her security escort, revealed his participation in Kane's network by attempting to eliminate Ellie during the ambush rather than providing protection as his orders required. His betrayal confirmed her assessment that the attack was coordinated assassination rather than random enemy action, while his tactical approach revealed training in close-quarters assassination techniques. Ellie's hand-to-hand combat skills, developed through naval intelligence training and enhanced by personal preparation for hostile environment operations, enabled her to neutralize Morrison's assassination attempt while acquiring his weapons and communications equipment. Her survival depended on eliminating immediate threats while maintaining tactical advantage during continued enemy contact. The convoy's destruction was complete within 12 minutes, with all vehicles disabled and most personnel killed or wounded through coordinated fire that demonstrated extensive reconnaissance and tactical planning. The Taliban fighters had been provided with detailed information about convoy composition, timing, and defensive capabilities that enabled overwhelming tactical superiority. Kane's network had planned for Ellie's body to be recovered and buried in an unmarked grave that would prevent detailed forensic examination while supporting the cover story that she had been killed during routine Taliban ambush rather than targeted assassination. The burial was intended to eliminate physical evidence while creating plausible deniability for network members. The gravesite had been selected in advance based on geological conditions that would accelerate decomposition while providing concealment from aerial surveillance and ground reconnaissance that might locate the burial location. Kane's military engineering background had enabled him to identify optimal conditions for permanent concealment of evidence. But Ellie's survival training had included extensive preparation for prisoner-of-war scenarios and escape from hostile captivity, with specific techniques for remaining undetected while seriously wounded and operating behind enemy lines. Her apparent death had been carefully staged using techniques learned during survival school and enhanced through personal research into combat medicine. The shallow grave that Kane's associates had dug for her body provided temporary concealment while she recovered from her wounds and assessed the tactical situation, but her survival required remaining hidden until she could develop and implement a comprehensive response to the betrayal and attempted murder that had destroyed her convoy and eliminated her security detail. Her equipment cache, hidden during the ambush through techniques learned during intelligence training, contained emergency medical supplies, communications gear, and financial resources that would be crucial for surviving behind enemy lines while developing evidence and planning systematic response against Kane's network and their supporters within military command structures. The Taliban fighters had been paid to conduct the ambush, but not to verify casualties or conduct detailed site security, creating opportunities for Ellie to remain concealed while gathering intelligence about the coordination between Kane's network and enemy forces. Their conversations revealed details about payment arrangements and future coordination that would be valuable evidence. The medical treatment of her injuries required techniques learned during survival training and enhanced through personal study of combat medicine, as her wounds included shrapnel damage, bullet grazes, and blunt force trauma that would have been fatal without immediate treatment. Her survival depended on military medical knowledge and improvised surgical procedures. Recovery from her injuries while remaining hidden required systematic approach to nutrition, wound care, and physical rehabilitation that drew upon survival training while adapting to local environmental conditions and available resources. Her intelligence background provided an analytic framework for assessing threats and opportunities while planning systematic response. The evidence collection during her recovery period included photographing the burial site, documenting Taliban coordination, and preserving communications intercepts that revealed the full scope of coordination between Kane's network and enemy forces. The intelligence would be crucial for exposing not only criminal activity, but also treason that endangered national security. As Ellie's physical condition improved and her tactical assessment of the situation developed, she began planning the systematic destruction of Kane's network through methods that would eliminate each member while exposing their crimes and the institutional corruption that had enabled their operations. Her apparent death would be their greatest tactical mistake.
The cave system where Ellie established her recovery base had been created by Soviet mining operations during the 1980s occupation, providing underground concealment that protected her from thermal detection and aerial surveillance while offering access to water sources and natural ventilation that would support extended operations behind enemy lines. The location's military history made it familiar to local fighters but avoided by coalition forces. Her medical self-treatment required techniques that pushed beyond standard military training into field surgery and trauma medicine that she had studied extensively during intelligence preparation for hostile environment operations. The removal of shrapnel fragments and treatment of infected wounds demanded precision and sterile procedures improvised from available materials and basic medical supplies. The systematic documentation of her injuries through photography and detailed medical notes would provide crucial evidence for future prosecution while also serving as baseline assessment for recovery timeline and capability development during the extended period required for planning and implementing systematic revenge against Kane's network and their institutional supporters. Intelligence analysis of intercepted Taliban communications revealed that Kane's network had paid for her elimination while providing weapons and tactical support that would be used against coalition forces throughout the region. The evidence established clear patterns of treason that exceeded simple weapons trafficking to encompass active support for enemy operations against American military personnel. Her investigation files, protected in waterproof containers and encrypted storage devices, contained comprehensive evidence about the trafficking network structure, methods, and connections to senior military officials who had provided protection in exchange for financial compensation. The documentation represented 2 years of careful intelligence work that would be crucial for systematic prosecution. The financial analysis of Kane's network revealed Swiss bank accounts, cryptocurrency wallets, and offshore investment structures that contained over $40 million in proceeds from weapons trafficking operations. The money trail provided evidence of systematic criminal activity while identifying assets that could be targeted for recovery and disruption of ongoing operations. Communication interception equipment salvaged from the convoy wreckage enabled Ellie to monitor Kane's network coordination and Taliban activities while remaining undetected through signal discipline and technical countermeasures. Her intelligence training provided expertise in electronic surveillance that exceeded typical military communications capabilities and security awareness. The development of systematic revenge plans required careful analysis of each network member's vulnerabilities, operational patterns, and security arrangements that would enable precision targeting while avoiding detection or retaliation against potential allies within military command structures. Each elimination would need to appear accidental or attributable to enemy action. Kane's personal security habits had been observed and documented during months of investigation, revealing predictable patterns in his movement schedules, communication procedures, and meeting locations that could be exploited for targeted elimination. His confidence in network protection had created exploitable vulnerabilities that would enable precision operations. Staff Sergeant Morrison's role in convoy security had been eliminated during the ambush, but his network connections and financial accounts remained active and accessible through information Ellie had gathered during her investigation. His death had simplified certain aspects of systematic revenge while providing cover for broader operations against surviving members. Sergeant Rodriguez's financial coordination responsibilities required regular communication with international contacts and banking institutions that created interceptable electronic signatures and predictable travel patterns. His technical expertise made him valuable to the network, but also created operational vulnerabilities that could be exploited for targeted elimination. Captain Walsh's procurement oversight position required regular interaction with Afghan government officials and international suppliers that created opportunities for targeted operations disguised as Taliban attacks against American personnel. Her routine meetings and travel schedules provided multiple opportunities for precision targeting without detection. The Taliban coordination with Kane's network had created ongoing communication patterns and meeting schedules that would enable Ellie to predict and potentially manipulate enemy operations while gathering additional evidence about treason and coordination between American military personnel and insurgent forces actively fighting coalition troops.
Local Afghan contacts developed during her investigation provided cultural knowledge and operational support that would be crucial for moving undetected through hostile territory while conducting systematic operations against network members. Their motivation included personal losses from Taliban attacks conducted with American weapons stolen through Kane's operation. The planning phase required establishing secure communication with loyal intelligence contacts within NCIS and other agencies who could provide technical support and evidence validation while maintaining operational security that protected both Ellie's survival and the integrity of ongoing investigation and prosecution preparation. Weapons and equipment acquisition from Taliban casualties and abandoned coalition supplies provided capability for systematic operations while establishing operational security through use of untraceable equipment that could not be connected to official military inventory or personal identification that might compromise ongoing operations. The systematic approach to network destruction would begin with peripheral members and work inward toward Kane himself, creating psychological pressure and operational disruption while gathering additional evidence about network structure and institutional protection that had enabled years of criminal activity involving national security violations. Each phase of systematic revenge would contribute to comprehensive evidence package while eliminating threats to operational security and creating conditions for successful prosecution of surviving members and their institutional protectors. The garden of revenge would be carefully cultivated to ensure complete destruction of corruption that had betrayed military values and endangered American personnel.
The first target in Ellie's systematic campaign was Sergeant First Class Tony Rodriguez, whose financial coordination role made him both vulnerable and essential to the network's continued operation. His predictable travel schedule between Kabul and Dubai for money laundering operations provided optimal opportunities for elimination that would appear accidental while disrupting the network's cash flow and creating psychological pressure among surviving members. Intelligence gathered through electronic surveillance revealed that Rodriguez maintained accounts at 3 Swiss banks and operated cryptocurrency exchanges through encrypted communications that followed consistent timing patterns. His technical expertise in financial systems had made him indispensable to Kane's operation, but also created digital footprints that could be exploited for targeted operations. Ellie's approach to Rodriguez's elimination required infiltrating his security arrangements during a scheduled meeting with Pakistani arms dealers in Peshawar, where coalition intelligence operations provided cover for her movement, while local contacts established during her investigation offered technical support and operational assistance that would be crucial for success. The elimination method was designed to appear like Taliban assassination against American personnel conducting unofficial business in hostile territory, utilizing intelligence about actual Taliban operations and targeting patterns that would make the cover story credible to investigators while avoiding detection of systematic coordination between apparently unrelated incidents. Rodriguez's death was accomplished through poisoning that simulated natural causes while he was conducting financial transactions at a Peshawar hotel known for hosting arms dealers and money launderers. The method left no physical evidence while creating the impression of medical emergency rather than targeted assassination, protecting operational security for continued operations. The financial accounts controlled by Rodriguez were systematically drained through cryptocurrency transfers and Swiss banking manipulation that redirected $47 million to accounts supporting Afghan orphanages and widow assistance programs. The theft appeared to be conducted by Taliban hackers rather than systematic operation by surviving coalition intelligence personnel. Electronic evidence planted in Rodriguez's hotel room included communications between Kane's network and Taliban commanders that provided detailed documentation of treason and weapons trafficking activities. The evidence would be discovered by Pakistani intelligence services and shared with American authorities through established cooperation channels. The psychological impact of Rodriguez's elimination on Kane's network was immediate and severe, as surviving members realized that their financial coordinator's death threatened operational security, while his compromised communications exposed their activities to potential investigation by authorities who had previously been unaware of the network's scope and methods. Master Sergeant Kane's response to Rodriguez's death included enhanced security measures and communication protocol changes that demonstrated increasing paranoia while creating additional operational vulnerabilities that could be exploited for continued systematic elimination operations. His defensive measures revealed network structure and coordination methods that had previously been concealed. The second target was Captain Jennifer Walsh, whose procurement oversight position made her elimination particularly important for disrupting ongoing weapons theft operations while providing access to administrative systems and classified information that would be crucial for exposing institutional protection to Kane's network by senior military officials, including 2 generals and multiple colonels who had received financial compensation for overlooking trafficking operations and preventing investigative actions. Walsh's elimination required more sophisticated operational planning due to her officer status and administrative position within coalition headquarters, where her death would attract significant investigation unless carefully disguised as enemy action rather than internal assassination. The method needed to avoid suspicion while maintaining access to her systems and information. Intelligence surveillance revealed that Walsh maintained regular contact with Afghan government officials who were coordinating weapons transfers and receiving kickbacks from stolen military equipment sales. These meetings provided opportunities for targeted operations that would appear to be Taliban assassinations against corrupt Afghan government officials and their American collaborators. The elimination was conducted during a meeting between Walsh and Afghan procurement officials at a Kabul restaurant, frequented by international businessmen and military contractors. The method involved improvised explosive device that appeared to be Taliban attack against Afghan government corruption while ensuring Walsh's death and providing access to her encrypted communications equipment. Walsh's administrative access enabled Ellie to obtain classified documents and communication records that revealed the full scope of institutional protection provided to Kane's network by senior military officials, including 2 generals and multiple colonels who had received financial compensation for overlooking trafficking operations and preventing investigative actions. The evidence collected from Walsh's systems included bank account information, communication records, and operational schedules that would enable continued systematic operations against the network members while building comprehensive prosecution case against institutional collaborators who had betrayed military values for personal financial gain. The third phase of systematic revenge targeted the Afghan government officials who had been coordinating with Kane's network to facilitate weapons theft and provide protection for trafficking operations through corruption of local security forces and administrative procedures designed to prevent exactly this type of criminal activity. Ahmed Karzai, nephew of the former president and coordinator of weapons procurement for Afghan National Army, was eliminated through Taliban assassination that appeared to be internal political conflict rather than coalition operation. His death disrupted coordination while providing access to government systems and communication networks. The elimination of corrupt Afghan officials created opportunities for Ellie to assume false identities and administrative positions that provided access to Kane's operational planning while maintaining cover that protected her from detection by network security measures and coalition intelligence services that might interfere with systematic revenge operations. Financial records obtained from eliminated network members revealed the full scope of weapons trafficking operations that had diverted over $200 million worth of American military equipment to Taliban and other insurgent forces throughout the region. The evidence documented systematic betrayal of American military personnel and Afghan civilian populations. Communication intercepts collected during elimination operations provided detailed information about planned Taliban attacks using stolen American weapons, enabling Ellie to prevent some attacks while gathering additional evidence about treason and coordination between network members and enemy forces actively fighting coalition troops. The systematic approach to network destruction was creating cascading effects as each elimination disrupted operational security while providing intelligence and access that enabled more sophisticated operations against remaining targets. The Garden of Revenge was growing as each successful operation planted seeds for continued expansion and deeper penetration of corrupt systems. Kane's growing paranoia and defensive measures were beginning to interfere with network operations while creating exploitable vulnerabilities that would enable Ellie to accelerate systematic elimination while building toward final confrontation with the network's leadership and their institutional protectors who had enabled years of criminal activity. The evidence collected from eliminated network members revealed corruption that extended far beyond Kane's immediate trafficking operation, encompassing systematic protection provided by senior military officials whose involvement included two-star generals, multiple colonels, and civilian contractors who had received millions in kickbacks while enabling weapons theft that directly supported enemy forces fighting American personnel throughout the region. General Patricia Morrison, deputy commander of Coalition Logistics Operations, had received over $12 million through Swiss accounts and cryptocurrency transfers in exchange for modifying inventory procedures and audit schedules that prevented detection of systematic weapons theft. Her administrative authority had been crucial for creating institutional protection that enabled Kane's network to operate without interference from military investigators. Colonel James Bradley, Inspector General for Supply Chain Security, had been paid $8 million to suppress investigation reports and eliminate evidence of trafficking operations whenever routine audits detected discrepancies in weapons inventory or ammunition distribution records. His position had provided network protection through manipulation of official investigation procedures and evidence destruction. The financial records obtained through systematic elimination operations documented a protection network that included over 30 senior military officials whose corruption had enabled weapons trafficking worth over $400 million while directly contributing to Taliban operational capabilities that had resulted in hundreds of American casualties and thousands of Afghan civilian deaths. Ellie's systematic approach to exposing institutional corruption required careful evidence preservation and strategic disclosure that would ensure comprehensive prosecution while avoiding administrative cover-ups that might protect senior officials through classification of evidence or national security justifications that prioritized institutional reputation over justice and accountability. The communication intercepts revealed coordination between American corrupt officials and Pakistani intelligence services that were facilitating weapons transfers to Taliban forces while receiving payment through arms dealers and money laundering operations that violated multiple international treaties and domestic laws regarding material support for terrorist organizations. Swiss banking records obtained through systematic penetration of financial networks revealed accounts containing over $180 million in proceeds from weapons trafficking operations, with automatic transfers to accounts controlled by senior military officials who had provided institutional protection for criminal activities that endangered national security and military personnel safety. The cryptocurrency analysis revealed sophisticated money laundering operations that had processed over $300 million through digital currency exchanges and offshore investment structures designed to conceal the source and destination of funds derived from systematic theft of American military equipment intended for allied forces fighting Taliban and other insurgent organizations throughout the region. General Morrison's elimination required sophisticated operational planning due to her security detail and administrative position within coalition headquarters, but her predictable travel schedule and routine meetings with arms contractors provided opportunities for targeted operation that would appear to be Taliban assassination against senior military leadership. The elimination was conducted during Morrison's inspection visit to Forward Operating Base Shank, where her convoy was ambushed by Taliban forces who had been provided with detailed route information and timing data through channels that appeared to be routine intelligence leaks rather than systematic coordination with surviving network members. Morrison's death provided access to classified documents and communication systems that revealed the full scope of institutional corruption while enabling Ellie to assume administrative authority through forged orders and electronic authentication that appeared to be legitimate succession planning rather than systematic infiltration by presumed dead intelligence officer. Colonel Bradley's elimination followed similar pattern,
with Taliban ambushed during routine inspection tour that provided access to Inspector General files and evidence destruction records that documented systematic suppression of investigation reports and manipulation of audit procedures that had enabled years of criminal activity without detection. The evidence collected from eliminated senior officials included classified documents that revealed coordination between American military corruption and international arms trafficking networks operated by Pakistani intelligence services, Russian organized crime, and Chinese military contractors who were purchasing stolen American weapons for reverse engineering and resale operations. The systematic exposure of institutional corruption required coordination with loyal intelligence contacts within NCIS, FBI, and Department of Defense Inspector General, who could receive evidence through secure channels while maintaining operational security that protected both sources and ongoing operations against remaining network members and their international collaborators. The evidence package transmitted to loyal investigators included financial records, communication intercepts, weapons serial number databases, and photographic documentation that established systematic criminal conspiracy involving theft of over $400 million worth of American military equipment while providing material support to enemy forces actively fighting coalition troops throughout the region. Congressional oversight committees with appropriate security clearances were provided with classified briefings that documented the scope of institutional corruption while emphasizing the national security implications of systematic weapons trafficking that had directly contributed to American casualties and regional destabilization throughout Afghanistan and Pakistan. The media disclosure strategy involved careful coordination with investigative journalists who had appropriate security clearances and established relations with military sources, ensuring that public exposure of corruption would support prosecution efforts while avoiding compromise of ongoing operations against international criminal networks and foreign intelligence services. International law enforcement coordination included sharing evidence with Swiss banking authorities, Interpol financial crimes units, and European anti-terrorism organizations that were investigating international arms trafficking networks and money laundering operations that had processed proceeds from systematic theft of American military equipment. The systematic destruction of Kane's network had evolved from personal revenge into comprehensive counterintelligence operation that was exposing international criminal conspiracy involving multiple governments, intelligence services, and terrorist organizations that had been coordinating systematic theft and resale of American military equipment for over 5 years. Kane's elimination would represent the culmination of systematic revenge while providing final evidence needed for prosecution of international criminal conspiracy that had endangered American military personnel while supporting enemy forces through systematic theft of weapons and equipment intended for allied forces fighting Taliban and other insurgent organizations throughout the region.
The intelligence gathered through systematic elimination of network members revealed an international conspiracy that extended far beyond Afghan weapons trafficking to encompass coordinated theft operations in Iraq, Syria, and other coalition theaters where American military equipment was being systematically diverted to enemy forces through corruption networks involving multiple foreign intelligence services and international criminal organizations. Pakistani inter-services intelligence had been coordinating with Kane's network to facilitate weapons transfers to Taliban and Haqqani network forces while receiving technical specifications and operational manuals for American military equipment that enabled reverse engineering operations supporting Pakistan's indigenous defense industry and regional strategic objectives that conflicted with American interests. Chinese military intelligence services had been purchasing stolen American weapons systems through intermediary organizations and Swiss banking networks, with particular focus on advanced communications equipment, night vision systems, and precision-guided munitions that provided insights into American military capabilities while supporting Chinese defense technology development programs. Russian organized crime networks had been facilitating money laundering operations for weapons trafficking proceeds while coordinating with Syrian and Iranian government officials to transfer stolen American equipment to proxy forces fighting coalition troops throughout the Middle East. The financial networks involved cryptocurrency exchanges and offshore banking that made transaction tracking extremely difficult. The evidence revealed that Kane's Afghan operation was one component of systematic international conspiracy involving theft and resale of over $2.3 billion worth of American military equipment during a 5-year period, with proceeds supporting enemy forces fighting American personnel while providing foreign intelligence services with detailed information about American military capabilities and operational methods. Ellie's intelligence analysis identified coordination centers in Dubai, Geneva, and Hong Kong, where international criminal networks managed logistics and financial operations, supporting systematic theft from American military supply chains while coordinating with foreign intelligence services that were purchasing stolen equipment for strategic intelligence and defense technology development purposes. The Swiss banking investigation revealed accounts controlled by senior officials from multiple foreign intelligence services who had received payments totaling over $400 million for facilitating weapons transfers and providing protection for international trafficking networks that were systematically undermining American military operations and regional security objectives. Communication intercepts collected during systematic elimination operations included encrypted conversations between Kane's network and foreign intelligence officers who were coordinating purchase requests for specific weapon systems while providing operational intelligence about American military planning and deployment schedules that enabled enemy forces to conduct more effective attacks against coalition troops. The international scope of criminal conspiracy required coordination between American law enforcement agencies, allied intelligence services, and international organizations that were investigating systematic theft operations and money laundering networks that had been supporting enemy forces and foreign intelligence services through systematic diversion of American military equipment. Interpol financial crimes investigators were provided with comprehensive evidence about international money laundering operations that had processed over $800 million in proceeds from weapons trafficking while facilitating coordination between organized crime networks and foreign intelligence services that were systematically targeting American military supply chains. European banking authorities received detailed information about Swiss accounts and cryptocurrency operations that had been used to transfer payments for stolen American weapons, while coordinating with Russian, Chinese, and Pakistani intelligence services that were purchasing equipment for reverse engineering operations and strategic intelligence collection about American military capabilities. The Federal Bureau of Investigation's Counterintelligence Division was briefed on foreign intelligence penetration of American military supply chains while receiving evidence about coordination between international criminal networks and hostile intelligence services that had been systematically targeting American military operations and personnel for over 5 years. Central Intelligence Agency counterintelligence analysts received comprehensive briefings about foreign intelligence operations targeting American military equipment while coordinating with international criminal networks that had been facilitating systematic theft operations in multiple coalition theaters of operation throughout the Middle East and Central Asian regions. The Department of Defense Inspector General investigation expanded to encompass systematic review of military supply chain security and personnel vetting procedures that had enabled foreign intelligence penetration of American logistics operations, while facilitating criminal conspiracy involving theft of billions of dollars worth of military equipment. Congressional Intelligence Oversight Committees received classified briefings about foreign intelligence operations targeting American military capabilities, while emphasizing the strategic implications of systematic equipment theft that it provided hostile intelligence services with detailed information about American military technology and operational methods. International law enforcement coordination included joint operations with allied intelligence services to identify and eliminate foreign intelligence networks that had been coordinating with international criminal organizations to systematically target American military supply chains while supporting enemy forces fighting coalition troops. The evidence revealed that Master Sergeant Kane's elimination would represent more than personal revenge or domestic criminal prosecution, as his network had been a central component of international conspiracy involving foreign intelligence services and organized crime networks that had been systematically undermining American military operations and regional security objectives. Kane's final elimination would need to be coordinated with international law enforcement operations targeting foreign intelligence services and criminal networks, while ensuring that comprehensive evidence was preserved for prosecution of international conspiracy that had endangered American military personnel while supporting enemy forces through systematic theft and resale of American military equipment. The Garden of Revenge had grown beyond personal vengeance into a systematic counterintelligence operation that was exposing international threats to American national security while enabling comprehensive response against foreign intelligence services and criminal networks that had been coordinating systematic attacks against American military capabilities and personnel safety.
Master Sergeant Kane's elimination required coordination with international law enforcement operations and intelligence services that were simultaneously targeting foreign intelligence networks and criminal organizations involved in systematic theft of American military equipment, making his death part of comprehensive response against international conspiracy rather than simple personal revenge operation. The tactical approach to Kane's elimination utilized intelligence gathered through systematic destruction of his network while coordinating with FBI counterintelligence operations, CIA foreign intelligence assessment, and allied intelligence services that were conducting parallel operations against Pakistani ISI, Chinese military intelligence, and Russian organized crime networks involved in international weapons trafficking conspiracy. Kane's security arrangements had been enhanced following elimination of network members and exposure of institutional corruption, but his coordination requirements with foreign intelligence contacts and international criminal organizations created predictable communication patterns and meeting schedules that provided opportunities for targeted operation disguised as enemy action rather than systematic assassination. Intelligence surveillance revealed that Kane maintained regular contact with Colonel Ahmed Rashid of Pakistani ISI, who coordinated weapons transfers and provided protection for trafficking operations through corruption of Pakistani border security and customs procedures. Their scheduled meeting in Islamabad provided optimal opportunity for elimination operation that would appear to be Taliban attack against both American and Pakistani officials. The elimination method was designed to appear like suicide bombing against American-Pakistani military coordination meeting, utilizing actual Taliban operational methods and explosive techniques that would make the attack appear authentic while ensuring Kane's death and providing access to communication equipment and financial records that would complete evidence collection for international prosecution. Ellie's infiltration of the Islamabad meeting location required coordination with CIA station personnel who provided technical support and operational cover while maintaining plausible deniability about systematic elimination operations and evidence collection activities that exceeded normal intelligence cooperation parameters between agencies with different operational authorities and security clearances. The explosive device used for Kane's elimination was constructed using Taliban bomb-making techniques and materials obtained through previous operations, ensuring that forensic analysis would attribute the attack to authentic enemy action rather than systematic operation by coalition intelligence personnel conducting unauthorized elimination and evidence collection activities. Kane's death during the suicide bombing
provided access to encrypted communications equipment and financial records that contained final evidence about international conspiracy involving systematic theft of American military equipment while coordinating with foreign intelligence services and international criminal organizations that had been supporting enemy forces fighting coalition troops. The communication intercepts revealed detailed coordination between Kane's network and Chinese military intelligence services that had been purchasing stolen American weapon systems for reverse engineering operations while providing technical specifications and operational intelligence that enabled development of Chinese military capabilities designed to counter American strategic advantages. Financial records obtained during Kane's elimination documented Swiss banking operations and cryptocurrency networks that had processed over $1.2 billion in proceeds from international weapons trafficking while facilitating coordination between organized crime networks and foreign intelligence services that were systematically targeting American military supply chains and personnel safety. The evidence collection was immediately transmitted to law enforcement agencies and intelligence services that were conducting coordinated operations against international criminal conspiracy, ensuring that comprehensive prosecution could proceed against foreign intelligence services and criminal organizations while protecting operational security for ongoing counterintelligence activities. Pakistani government response to the suicide bombing included cooperation with American authorities in investigating Kane's activities and financial networks, while Chinese and Russian diplomatic protests about intelligence operations suggested that systematic evidence collection had successfully identified and disrupted foreign intelligence operations targeting American military capabilities. The international law enforcement response included coordinated arrests of over 200 individuals involved in weapons trafficking and money laundering operations across 12 countries, while asset seizure operations recovered over $800 million in proceeds from systematic theft of American military equipment that had been supporting enemy forces and foreign intelligence services. Congressional oversight hearings examined institutional failures that had enabled systematic corruption and foreign intelligence penetration of American military operations, while implementing comprehensive security reforms designed to prevent similar criminal conspiracy and foreign intelligence operations targeting American military supply chains and personnel safety. Media coverage of the international conspiracy emphasized the scope of foreign intelligence operations targeting American military capabilities while highlighting the importance of counterintelligence operations and institutional security measures that would be necessary for preventing similar systematic threats to American national security and military personnel safety. The systematic destruction of Kane's network had evolved from personal revenge operation into comprehensive counterintelligence success that exposed international threats to American national security while enabling coordinated response against foreign intelligence services and criminal organizations that had been systematically undermining American military operations and regional security objectives. Ellie's survival and systematic revenge had prevented continued weapons trafficking operations that would have cost hundreds of additional American lives while providing enemy forces with advanced military equipment, demonstrating that individual determination and systematic intelligence operations could achieve strategic objectives that conventional military approaches might not be able to accomplish. The Garden of Revenge had produced harvest that exceeded personal vengeance to encompass strategic counterintelligence success against international conspiracy, while establishing precedents for systematic response against institutional corruption and foreign intelligence operations targeting American military personnel and national security interests throughout multiple theaters of operation.
The comprehensive evidence package assembled through systematic elimination of Kane's network resulted in the largest military corruption prosecution in American history, with over 150 indictments against military personnel, civilian contractors, and foreign intelligence operatives who had participated in systematic theft of American military equipment worth over $2.3 billion during 5 years of coordinated criminal conspiracy.
Federal prosecutors coordinated with international law enforcement agencies to ensure simultaneous prosecution of criminal networks across multiple jurisdictions, while asset forfeiture operations recovered over $1.1 billion in proceeds from weapons trafficking that would be returned to American taxpayers and provided as compensation to families of military personnel killed by stolen American weapons used against coalition forces. General Patricia Morrison's posthumous court-martial proceedings revealed the scope of institutional corruption that had enabled systematic weapons trafficking, while her financial records provided crucial evidence about Swiss banking operations and cryptocurrency networks that had facilitated money laundering for international criminal organizations and foreign intelligence services. Colonel James Bradley's administrative authority had been used to suppress over 200 investigation reports and destroy evidence of weapons trafficking operations, with his corruption enabling systematic theft that had provided Taliban and other insurgent forces with American military equipment worth over $400 million that had been used to kill American personnel and Afghan civilians throughout the region. The institutional reforms implemented following exposure of systematic corruption included comprehensive security clearance review procedures, enhanced financial monitoring for military personnel with supply chain access, and independent oversight mechanisms designed to prevent administrative suppression of investigation reports and evidence destruction that had enabled years of criminal activity. Congressional testimony by intelligence officials emphasized the strategic implications of foreign intelligence penetration of American military supply chains, while classified briefings revealed the scope of Chinese, Russian, and Pakistani intelligence operations that had been systematically targeting American military capabilities through coordination with international criminal networks and corrupt military personnel. International diplomatic responses included formal protests by Chinese and Russian governments about counterintelligence operations that had disrupted their systematic intelligence collection and technology acquisition programs, while Pakistani government cooperation with American authorities demonstrated strategic recognition of mutual interests in preventing criminal conspiracy that threatened regional security and bilateral cooperation agreements. Swiss banking authorities implemented enhanced monitoring procedures for accounts associated with American military personnel and defense contractors, while cryptocurrency exchanges established compliance programs designed to prevent money laundering operations that had been facilitating systematic theft of American military equipment and supporting international criminal organizations. The Victims' Family Compensation Program provided financial support for families of American military personnel killed by stolen American weapons that had been provided to enemy forces through systematic trafficking operations, while memorial services honored military personnel whose deaths had been directly caused by institutional corruption and criminal conspiracy involving their own colleagues and superior officers. Military personnel policy reforms included mandatory financial disclosure requirements for personnel with supply chain access, enhanced psychological evaluation procedures designed to identify potential corruption risks, and whistleblower protection programs that would encourage reporting of suspected criminal activity without fear of career retaliation or administrative suppression. Intelligence community reforms implemented comprehensive security measures designed to prevent foreign intelligence penetration of American military operations, while establishing coordination protocols between agencies that would enable systematic response against international criminal conspiracy and foreign intelligence operations targeting American national security interests. Educational programs at military academies and professional development schools incorporated case studies based on Kane's network and the systematic corruption that had enabled their criminal operations, emphasizing the importance of integrity, accountability, and institutional vigilance in preventing similar threats to American military personnel and national security. International military cooperation agreements included enhanced security measures for weapons transfers and supply chain operations, while establishing coordination protocols with allied intelligence services that would enable systematic response against foreign intelligence operations targeting coalition military capabilities and personnel safety. The long-term strategic impact of systematic corruption exposure included deterrent effects on potential future criminal conspiracy involving American military personnel, while demonstrating that institutional accountability and individual determination could overcome sophisticated international threats to American national security and military personnel safety. Ellie's formal recognition for counterintelligence operations included classified awards and promotion opportunities within intelligence community, while her survival and systematic revenge operation had established precedents for individual initiative and comprehensive evidence collection that exceeded conventional intelligence and law enforcement capabilities. The systematic destruction of international criminal conspiracy had prevented continued weapons trafficking that would have cost hundreds of additional American lives while providing foreign intelligence services with detailed information about American military capabilities, demonstrating the strategic importance of individual courage and systematic intelligence operations in protecting national security interests. Memorial services for eliminated network members emphasized that their criminal behavior had betrayed military values and endangered American personnel, while their systematic elimination had prevented continued treason and criminal conspiracy that had been directly responsible for deaths of American military personnel and Afghan civilians throughout the region.
The exposure of systematic international conspiracy involving theft of American military equipment created diplomatic and strategic consequences that extended far beyond criminal prosecution, fundamentally altering American relationships with regional allies while demonstrating the scope of foreign intelligence penetration that had been systematically undermining coalition military operations and regional security objectives throughout multiple theaters. Pakistani government response to revelations about ISI coordination with international weapons trafficking networks included comprehensive internal investigation and reform of intelligence service oversight procedures, while diplomatic negotiations with American authorities focused on maintaining strategic cooperation despite evidence of systematic betrayal by Pakistani intelligence officers who had been supporting Taliban operations against coalition forces. Chinese diplomatic protests about American counterintelligence operations targeting their military technology acquisition programs were accompanied by enhanced security measures for defense contractors and research institutions, while strategic competition concerns emphasized the importance of protecting American military capabilities from foreign intelligence operations designed to acquire sensitive technology through systematic criminal conspiracy. Russian organized crime networks implicated in international weapons trafficking faced coordinated law enforcement operations across multiple countries, while diplomatic tensions increased due to evidence of systematic Russian involvement in supporting enemy forces fighting American personnel through coordination with international criminal organizations and corrupt military officials. European banking authorities implemented comprehensive reforms designed to prevent money laundering operations that had facilitated systematic theft of American military equipment, while Switzerland enhanced monitoring procedures for accounts associated with international arms trafficking and foreign intelligence operations targeting American and allied military capabilities. Middle Eastern allies received intelligence briefings about foreign intelligence operations that had been targeting coalition military supply chains while coordinating with international criminal networks, emphasizing the importance of enhanced security measures and intelligence cooperation to prevent similar systematic threats to regional stability and coalition military effectiveness. The strategic implications of foreign intelligence penetration included reassessment of American military technology sharing agreements with regional allies, while enhanced security measures were implemented to prevent systematic theft operations that had provided hostile intelligence services with detailed information about American military capabilities and operational methods. International arms control agreements were strengthened through enhanced monitoring and enforcement mechanisms designed to prevent systematic diversion of military equipment to enemy forces, while coordination between allied intelligence services was expanded to enable comprehensive response against international criminal networks targeting coalition military capabilities.
NATO alliance cooperation included intelligence sharing protocols designed to identify and counter foreign intelligence operations targeting member nation military capabilities, while collective defense measures were enhanced to prevent systematic theft operations and technology acquisition programs that threatened alliance strategic advantages and operational effectiveness. United Nations Security Council deliberations addressed international implications of systematic weapons trafficking that had supported terrorist organizations and insurgent forces while undermining regional stability and peacekeeping operations, leading to enhanced international cooperation protocols for preventing criminal conspiracy involving military equipment and defense technology. Regional security partnerships were strengthened through intelligence cooperation and joint operations targeting international criminal networks, while bilateral agreements with key allies were enhanced to prevent foreign intelligence penetration of defense cooperation programs and technology sharing initiatives that could compromise strategic advantages. The strategic deterrent effects of comprehensive prosecution and international coordination demonstrated American determination to respond against systematic threats to national security and military personnel safety, while establishing precedents for individual accountability and institutional responsibility that would influence future counterintelligence operations and criminal investigation procedures. Intelligence community assessment of foreign intelligence operations revealed systematic coordination between hostile intelligence services and international criminal organizations that have been targeting American military capabilities through multiple approaches, including cyber operations, human intelligence penetration, and criminal conspiracy involving corrupt military personnel and defense contractors. Long-term strategic planning incorporated lessons learned from systematic corruption and foreign intelligence operations, while enhanced security measures were implemented across military supply chains and defense contracting procedures to prevent similar criminal conspiracy and technology acquisition programs that could compromise American strategic advantages. Educational initiatives within intelligence and law enforcement communities emphasized the importance of systematic investigation and comprehensive evidence collection in countering complex international threats, while training programs incorporated case studies based on Kane's network and the foreign intelligence operations that had been supporting systematic theft of American military equipment. Congressional oversight reforms included enhanced monitoring of defense contractor operations and military supply chain security, while classified budget allocations supported expanded counterintelligence capabilities designed to prevent foreign intelligence operations targeting American military technology and operational capabilities. The international recognition of American counterintelligence capabilities had deterrent effects on foreign intelligence operations while demonstrating the consequences of systematic criminal conspiracy involving American military personnel, establishing strategic advantages that would influence regional security dynamics and alliance cooperation for years following the comprehensive destruction of Kane's international traffic.
Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.